Look, in very simple terms, money that is obtained from the proceeds of crime is put aside, and it's sort of set aside for normally between a year and 2 years as the people involved go through the process of the criminal justice system. The alleged amount of somewhere around the $500,000 is just that. We don't actually know how much money is involved at this point. So it's a figure that's plucked from the air, quite frankly. Having said that, I mean, money from proceeds of crime does go towards things like prevention of crime in the future, and also things like drug and alcohol rehabilitation centres. So it can be used for that. So, I mean, that's where the government does help fund some processes around rehabilitation. But to say you can take the money that's been delivered from a drug bust a couple of weeks ago and put it towards a drug rehab centre now is a little bit, it's clutching at straws a little bit, I would say. The money will go into revenue in the next couple of years, and it will be processed like all proceeds of crime money is processed.
So obviously last year the federal government committed $3 million over 2 years for the development of such a facility. The council have said they will put down land for it. They say they're waiting on money from the state government. Is that something you're looking to deliver?
Absolutely. Look, I think it's good for council to want to be involved in this. The reality of a scenario around a drug rehab centre is that council won't run it or fund it. They've provided a land package worth maybe $100,000. There's a lot more to running a drug rehab centre than that. And it's not just a rehab centre, this needs to be a wraparound service that's provided. So detox, rehab, but at the very start of that needs to be drug courts. So if you don't have a drug court operating without a rehab, it doesn't all fit together. I've been lobbying the Attorney General, the Health Minister, the Treasurer and the Premier about this for some time. Pre-COVID-19, the government actually released an interim response to the Special Commission of Inquiry into ICE. So that's in the public arena now for people to look at. Recommendation 14 out of the Special Commission was looking at drug courts, and specifically drug courts in high risk regional areas, which we certainly are part of. So my push is very much around a drug court getting up as the first part of this, but then with that you need other services to wrap around, and that's where rehab and detox would come in. But it's not just simply putting a bricks and mortar together. If you do that, you'll end up with a white elephant. I want to make sure we get something that works, and I've approached the Treasurer about some funding, but bearing in mind everything is pre-COVID-19, we're now going to be heading into a post-COVID-19 scenario where the budget looks a little bit different than it did back in March.
Yeah, definitely. And just in regards to the drug courts, you touched on sort of how that process is going. Can you talk us through the steps going with that now and what we could hopefully see, if we could get a timeline, or if it's still up in the air? How's that sitting?
Look, there's no timeline. Essentially, the government now is working through every single recommendation. There were 109 recommendations that came from that special commission. The government's interim response looks at some of them in small detail. And before COVID-19, the government had committed to providing a more detailed response to everything by the end of the year. That's probably changed just slightly, given there's been so much else going on. But the government is committed, and I'm certainly committed to making sure we look for the best possible opportunities in dealing with what is a situation that's been affecting the community for some time. That being said, it isn't a magical solution. It's not something that's gone away. But given COVID-19 has been the focus for the past 2 or 3 months, it's certainly been down the list a bit, but is certainly still on the list.